Did you inform Mr. Park about the meeting? He asked sharply, his long strides echoing through the corridor as his personal assistant struggled to keep up. Soyeon, his personal assistant, clutched a black file tightly in her left hand, almost jogging to match his face. Yes, sir, I did. They said they will be there at 2 a.m. She replied nervously. 2 a.m., he nearly shouted, his tone laced with irritation. Without waiting for a response, he pushed open the door to his sleek, minimalist cabin and strode inside. Soyeon hesitated for a moment before following him. Does he think I have time to waste? I have made it clear. I don't tolerate people who fail to value time. Yes, sir, I know that, she stammered, lowering her gaze. But we really need this deal. Jungkook exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair, his jaw tightening as he processed her words. After the tense meeting, Soyeon sighed in relief as she sat down at her desk. The deal was finally done, and the pressure that had been weighing on her shoulders felt lighter. She leaned back in her chair, letting out a soft breath when her phone buzzed. Soyeon, the boss is calling for you. A cheerful voice informed her. Her eyes widened in surprise, and a flutter of excitement danced in her chest. Really? Okay, I will be right there, she replied quickly, her voice a little too eager. Hanging up, she pulled a compact mirror from her drawer and began fixing her makeup, adding a touch of gloss to her lips and fluffing her hair. Staring at her reflection, she grinned smugly, her thoughts swirling with confidence. He's definitely going to notice me this time. Soon, you have got some serious charms, so beautiful. There is no way he will ignore you like he usually does. Today is going to be different. She tucked the compact away, smoothed her skirt, and stood up, her heels clicking softly against the tile floor as she made her way toward his cabin, her heart racing with anticipation. Soyeon stepped into Jungkook's cabin, clutching her file nervously. He was on the phone, his deep voice sounding softer than usual. She hesitated near the door, unsure if she could interrupt. I will be soon home. Just wait for me, okay? He sat quietly before ending the call. Soyeon blinked, surprised by the gentle tone he rarely used to work. Who was he talking to? She wondered, oblivious to the fact that it was his wife. Why? Being new, she had not yet discovered that Jungkook was married, though some of her colleagues were aware. He finally looked up, his usual cold demeanor snapping back into place. I'm leaving now. I have something important to handle at home. I trust you will manage things here. She nodded quickly, hoping for even a fleeting glance of acknowledgement, but he didn't spare her a second look. Without another word, he walked out, leaving her standing there deflated. At home, Jungkook stepped into the living room where Wine was sitting on the couch, scrolling idly through her phone. The moment he saw her, his icy expression melted and a rare smile spread across his face. A smile he reserved only for her. Jungkook, you're home, she said softly, but her tone carried a hint of sadness. His brows furrowed as he sat beside her. What's wrong? What's today? She asked, her pout becoming more evident. Today it's Friday. No, what else? He tilted his head in confusion. It's November and still Friday. Her lips pressed into a pout as she crossed her arms. You forgot, didn't you? Realization dawned too late, and he leaned closer, trying to soothe her. Hey, hey, don't be like that, princess. I didn't forget. I was planning to surprise you. But you just had to ruin it by being so cute and sad. Her eyes narrowed slightly, but a small smile tugged at her lips. A surprise, huh? Yes, but now I'm telling you. Get ready, we are going out. I promise it will make up for everything. She giggled softly, letting him take her hand. His smile growing wider, proving once again that while Jungkook might be cold to the world, he was always warm for her. The cold night breeze danced through Wine's hair as she stepped onto the soft sand of the secluded beach. The moon hung high in the sky, its silvery glow reflecting off the gentle waves. Jungkook held her hand, guiding her toward a small setup. A cozy blanket, fairy lights strung around, and a cake sitting in the center, illuminated by candlelight. Her eyes widened in surprise. Jungkook, you did all this? He smiled softly, tucking a strand of her hair behind her ear. Of course, princess, it's your birthday. Did you really think I would forget? Tears welled up in her eyes, but she quickly blinked them away, not wanting to ruin the moment. They sat down together, and Jungkook lit the candles on the cake. As the soft glow illuminated their faces, he looked at her, his gaze filled with warmth. Make a wish, wine, she nodded, closing her eyes and clasping her hands together. Her heart whispered silently, God, please always keep Jungkook happy with me. If I have any bad habits or even hurt him unknowingly, please change me. Let him always smile, live a long life, and find his happiness with me by his side. She opened her eyes slowly, a small smile on her lips as she blew out the candles. What did you wish for? I can't tell you, or it won't come true. She teased, poking his arm playfully. He chuckled, shaking his head. You are impossible sometimes. But you love me anyway, she said with a grin. I do more than you will ever know. He leaned closer, and the two sat there, basking in the tranquility of the night and the love that surrounded them. The next morning, Wine woke up feeling groggy and noticed the empty side of the bed. She glanced at the clock, it was late, and Jungkook had already left for work. Her heart sank as she realized he must have gone without eating breakfast. Jungkook always made it a point to eat breakfast with her, but on the rare occasions he didn't wake her. It meant he had skipped the meal entirely. She picked up her phone and sent him a text. Did you have breakfast? You always forget when I'm not around. Let me know. She waited for a reply, but there was none. Checking the time, she figured he must be swamped with work. Determined, she decided to surprise him. She prepared his favorite dishes, carefully packed them into containers, and got ready to visit his office for the first time. Arriving in the company, Wine hesitatingly stepped into the large, polished lobby. The receptionist greeted her with a polite smile. Hi, could you tell me the direction to Jungkook's office? The receptionist gave her clear instructions and with a nervous but excited heart. Wine made her way toward his cabin. She reached the door, raised her hand to knock, but stopped what a sharp voice called out from behind. What are you doing here, standing in front of the boss office? Wine turned to see a woman glaring at her. She smiled warmly, trying to keep the encounter civil. Oh, hi, I'm just here to bring lunch for my. Why would you need to meet him? Soyeon snapped, stepping closer, her tone laced with irritation. I brought him lunch. He left home without eating, so I thought. Before Wine could finish, Soyeon's face darkened with jealousy. Without warning, she raised her hand and slapped Wine across the face. Wine gasped, her hand flying to her stinging cheek. Stay away from him. She hissed, shoving Wine aside and barging into the office. Wine, teary eyed but determined, picked up the containers she had dropped and followed her inside. Jungkook, who had been working on some documents, looked up at the commotion. His eyes widened when he saw Wine standing there, her face pale and her eyes brimming with tears. Panic flashed across his features. Wine, what happened? Wine walked towards him. He pulled her gently into his arms and settling her on his lap as he cupped her face, inspecting it closely. Who did this to you? Tell me. Wine hesitated but finally whispered. She slapped me. Chungkook's jaw clenched as he turned his icy gaze to Soyeon. She stood frozen, her expression quickly shifting from smush to innocent. Sir, it's not what it looks like. She was acting suspicious, so I. Suspicious? He interrupted, his voice strangely low. She's my wife. Solomon's mouth fell open, her face paling. Your wife? Ignoring her, Jungkook turned back to Wine, his soft voice and full of concern. Are you okay, princess? Does it hurt? Wine nodded, wiping her tears. I just wanted to bring you lunch. I thought you would be hungry. His heart twisted at her words, and his arms tightened around her protectively. He pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead before shifting his attention back to Soyeon. Get out. Soyeon's eyes widened. Sir, please, I didn't know. I said, get out now. Realizing she couldn't salvage the situation, Soyeon stormed out, anger and embarrassment flashing across her face. Jungkook looked back at Wine, his expression softening as he stroked her cheek. You didn't need to come all the way here, but thank you. I'm sorry for what happened. It's okay, she whispered, managing a small smile. I just wanted to see you. His lips curved into a rare, genuine smile. And I'm glad you did. Jungkook leaned back in his chair, his arms still around mine. His dark eyes burned with frustration as he spoke. I'm going to fire her. What she did to you is unacceptable. Wine looked at him, her voice calm but understanding. It's up to you, Jungkook. I don't want to interfere with your decisions. He nodded firmly. She crossed a line and I will send her a termination letter immediately. Soyeon's jealousy and cruelty had pushed him too far, and he was not going to let anyone disrespect Wine, the one person who meant everything to him. That night, Soyeon sat in her small apartment, her mind replaying the events at the office. Anger bubbled inside her as she paced the room. Why her? What does she have that I don't? She muttered bitterly. Jungkook barely notices me, but he treats her like she's the center of his world. She clenched her fists, her jealousy growing stronger. I will find a way to get rid of her. Jungkook will see that I'm the one he needs, not her. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of her doorbell the next morning. She opened the door to find the postman holding an envelope. Delivery for Soyeon. She took the envelope, her heart sinking when she noticed the company's logo on it. Her hands trembled as she tore it open, her eyes scanning the contents. It was a termination letter. Tears pricked her eyes as the reality of the situation hit her. She dropped onto her couch, the letter slipping from her fingers. Her phone buzzed and she picked it up to see a message from Jungkook himself. Soyeon, you're fired for your behavior yesterday. There is no need to come to work anymore. If someone disrespects my wife, I will not show them any respect in return. Her tears fell freely now, but they were not just from sadness, they were from rage. This is not over wine, she whispered to herself. You have taken everything from me, but I will make sure you lose it all too. 2 days later, Wine was lounging comfortably on the couch in the living room. Scrolling through her phone, she wore a simple short skirt paired with an oversized hoodie, completely relaxed. Suddenly, a soft, deliberate cough catch her attention. Startled, she looked up to see none other than Soyeon standing in the doorway. Soyeon, she asked, surprised, what are you doing here? Soyeon put on her most innocent expression, clasping her hands in front of her. I just came to apologize. I was wrong and I'm really sorry for what I did. Please forgive me. Though one was still unsure about Soyeon's intentions, her kind heart won out. Alright, I forgive you. Soyeon's face brightened immediately and she quickly added, since you have forgiven me, could you do me a favor? What kind of favor? Soyeon's intentions, her kind heart won out. Could you convince Jungkook to let me return to my position as his personal assistant? I promise I will stay professional and not cause any more trouble. Wine hesitated. unsure of what to say. Just as she was about to respond, the sound of the front door opening made them both start. Jungkook had arrived home earlier than usual. He stepped into the living room, his sharp gaze landing first on Vine, then on Soyeon. His expression immediately darkened. What is she doing here? Before Vine could explain, Soyeon jumped in, her voice trembling as she faked innocence. Sir, I just came to apologize. I know I made a mistake. Please, I'm begging you to give me another chance. Vine looked at Jungkook and spoke softly. Maybe he should hear her out. His eyes narrowed as he stared at Soyeon, who was now pretending to cry. His jaw tightened, but when he glanced back at Vine and saw her nod, he finally spoke. Fine, I will forgive you, but there are conditions. Soyeon looked up, her tear streaked face showing a glimmer of hope. First, stay away from me and my wife. I'm well aware of your intentions from the beginning. Wore revealing clothes and acted unprofessionally to get my attention. But let me make one thing clear. I'm a one woman man and I love my wife more than anything. You will never come between us. Soyeon's hope turned to fury, though she tried to mask it. Second, don't think I will give you another chance. In the future, a wise person didn't let a snake bite them twice. Anger flashed in Soyeon's eyes. Unable to hold back, she spat bitterly. Your precious wife doesn't deserve you. She's nothing special. Jungkook's expression turned icy and he took a step forward, his voice dangerously low. Get out now before I make you regret those words. Humiliated, Soyeon turned on her heel and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Jungkook sighed heavily, running a hand through his hair before turning to Wine. His expression softening immediately. Are you okay? She didn't bother you too much, did she? Wine shook her head, giving him a small smile. I am fine. Thank you for always standing by me. He stepped closer, pulling her into his arms. Always, princess. No one comes between us. Ever.